All right, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Live the Fuel show. So today we're bringing on another new co-host. This gentleman has actually been in one of my online communities for a while, and we've been connecting here and there randomly. And then just all of a sudden this week, we started just bouncing a lot of questions back and forth. And since it's my podcast show, I was like, dude, I'm just going to bring you on the podcast. So this gentleman is a fellow Isagenix nutrition guy. He's also a fellow CrossFitter. He has his own box. And down in North Carolina, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But most importantly, I love the transparency of who you're about to meet, because he's going to be a co-host that's like other past co-hosts that have been transparent and truthful about their own struggles and their own goals, while he's also obviously trying to give back to his athletes since he's a owner of a box. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome to the show here. He is the co-owner, or maybe sole owner, we're going to find out more about that too, of CrossFittTTG.com. Welcome, Scott Albino.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate
it. Hey, man, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's rewind for our listeners. Why did you reach out to me?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question. I think like everyone else who is looking to get fit and stay fit, I reached out to you because, I've been doing Isagenix for a number of years with my wife, and as a product user, not so much as a distributor. I've done the cleanses and the packages. I've lost a ton of weight. I've gotten fit. There are a lot of the products we love. But it's always finding that balance between a macrobiotic diet and utilizing your Isagenix products, your Isagreens, your healthy products that we need to fuel the body. And personally, I have 4 kids at home. They all live at home, and the eating habits after 52 years are a lot of old eating habits that are hard to cut, and which is just reality. And between trying to keep our cabinets and pantry with good foods and having our kids complain that there are no goodies in the pantry, it's a personal challenge for me. I'm a nibbler, a grazer, and yet I eat pretty well, but I need to lean up and be the fit guy that I should be. So,
well, let's be real. Nobody has an easy lifestyle. We all have different planes of existence. We all have different lifestyle choices as far as professions. And actually, you had briefly mentioned before we started the show, you're not just a CrossFit gym owner, you're a real estate professional as well. So I know that is a crazy profession, because I have a number of contacts who do that. And you guys pretty much don't really have hours. It's like all over the place because you have to adapt to your customers.
So now I'm in 2 crazy professions, a box owner and a real estate broker here in North Carolina. So
I like it, man. You're a go-getter.
Yeah. I like the no mortar concept idea. So
and for our listeners, I'm really going to do this live on show. Like you had asked me over Facebook Messenger if I actually drink the shakes. Well, literally, I'm having my Isolene Pro shake with greens added because I just got back from my workout. So.
Well, and I'm having a little amped here, although it's not a Isagenix bottle. I'm having my amped just
no worries.
For this conversation.
Well, usually I'm just hydrating like crazy. I'm a big Nalgene bottle fan. I carry like 2 or 3 of these puppies in my car at all times. It's hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And admittedly, that actually just got reinforced back when I did my first ever detox and cleanse back in 2010. So
wow,
I'm dating myself.
That
was before Amped. Amped didn't even exist back then. So a lot of the products, actually, I don't even know if greens existed back then. I can't even remember that far back if we even had the greens.
Greens came before Amped. I know that.
It definitely did. And it's funny because you actually do get energy off of greens.
I know.
A lot of people don't believe me on that. I'm like, dude, when you give your body the nutrient density that it's been missing, especially when you're new. I miss the high from being new, because now I'm always high. But when you were like lethargic, and then all of a sudden you start putting the right nutrients in your body, and you're like, whoa, I feel different. This is interesting.
Right. Well,
let's rewind for the listeners. Like, how did you feel when you did your first transformation or just initial kickstart or whatever? What was your kind of background on that?
Well, so I have, like everyone else, I've tried every nutritional, they call it diet. I hate the term diet just to get healthy.
I hate the term diet too.
Yeah, it's just such a bad word. But I've tried to eat properly, and again, I'm a grazer. But when Isagenix came along, this gentleman Mark Smith, who is pretty high up with Isagenix, he was an athlete at Florida State, and we had this long conversation and kind of met via the internet as well, kind of like you and I did through a network. And he introduced me to the product, and I tried the cleanse. And so what I did is I did it for 3.5, 4 months. I lost like 40 pounds.
Wow.
It was pretty substantial for me. Now the reality is I haven't not put that 40 back on, that I lost, but I did put on some of the weight back on because I got off the cleanses and got off the completely clean eating, which is what I was doing for a while. So it's kind of like trying to find that macrobiotic balance between, doing Isagenix and regular foods. But I love the protein shakes, Isagenix. I'm hooked on them. I do them twice a day. It's my lunch and my breakfast. I usually do a late morning snack, a couple eggs, trying to get away from the grains, as you and I were talking about yesterday, which is
That's not going to be an easy transition.
I know. You were saying that. My wife, she'll throw me some brown rice with my 2 eggs, and I'll be like, can't be doing the brown rice anymore. But
again, baby steps, right?
Yeah,
let's we talk about this with people. It's funny because, this is going to be a big Isagenix episode, but let's be real for our listeners. It's not, my show's not just about Isagenix. That just happens to cycle in. It's only cycled in a few times. And because I'm trying to show people that it's about balancing health and lifestyle. And this is for anybody. I don't care if you're a Shakeology person or if you're an anti-shake guy. I mean, Vinny Porterich, you and I messaged about him. He's been on the show a couple times, huge podcast, been on the Adam Carolla show, like regularly, like he is the trainer to the stars.
Right.
He hates shakes. He wants nothing to do with them. He did start his own vitamin company called Pure Vitamin Club. But other than that, that's it. He is all about real whole food. So I respect that. So whether we're talking about Isagenix or whether we're talking about another supplement company or we're just talking about whole food, it's all transformation. It's all a life cycle. People who set that initial goal and they think they're going to change their entire life instantaneously, psychologically, you're in for a freaking roller coaster ride because your body's going to reject it. It's going to fight you. Your mind is going to fight you. I'm sure you had your own struggles when you first tried this, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is I didn't reach out to you to talk about Isagenix.
No.
I reached out to you to talk about, as you were saying, the no sugars, no grain, that's because I was intrigued by it. But I also, I've been following you. I see what stuff is going on. I've been sort of eyeballing it, and I liked your energy. This is not a plug for you, but this is true. And I said, you know what, I'm going to reach out. And of course, when you asked me if I'd be on the cast here, I'm kind of going, you don't want to see this mug on this.
Nobody wants to see this mug either, dude. I just started the video like 10 episodes ago. That's all new.
No, you're good. You're good. But so it has been. It's been a roller coaster for me, the whole process. But I was able to cut many things out. I mean, I got away from diet sodas. I got away from the fast foods. I got away from a lot of the things that were. So it is a roller coaster, but now I'm trying to chip away. And, as a box owner, I mean, people don't look at me and say, Scot's unfit. They look in, Scot's a pretty fit guy. He's 52 years old, even though I've got a horrible knee. Horrible knee is plural. But, so for me, it's a constant. And again, it's just a part of my life. So
well, and catch our listeners up here and real quick. I just have to grab my French press behind me. So, like I told you, I still use Isagenix coffee. I'm literally brewing coffee right behind me.
This is
the
total promotion for Isagenix.
Exactly. But no, but it's also lifestyle. Like I don't use Keurigs. I brew my own coffee. And people are like, oh, well, the Keurig is faster.
Yeah.
I boiled the water. I put the grains in the French press thingy. I pour the water on it, and then I let it brew, and then I pour it into a mug. This isn't rocket science. I'm not gonna buy some stupid machine with questionable coffee that's been sourced from who God knows where.
Right.
And then you're superheating it in a plastic cup, which we all know that superheated plastics usually release toxins.
Right.
I could go off on a whole tangent that's not Isagenix. I'm just saying, dude, I use coffee, and guess what? I don't just use Isagenix's coffee. I do love it because it's infused with all the extra healthy fats from coconut oil and green tea. But I also go to Whole Foods once in a while and get that. There's just one brand of coffee. It's like, it's so profoundly strong smelling because it's so fresh. It's something green related. I can't remember.
Yeah, green or something.
I cycle it in, but you know, again, I'm a real person. I don't just like live off of 100% Isagenix. It's like that's it's a foundational component in my lifestyle. But I know the knee was a big part of how you were Facebook messaging me back and forth. Was one of your biggest concerns because you're getting ready to do some surgery, I think, right, to help take it to the next level.
I've been putting off knee surgery for a few years here, and I'm scheduled for May 10th to go in and have a total knee replacement, and I've been refraining from it because as I was saying in the gym in the box the other day, one of the members said to me, one of my friends said they wish they had done this sooner, and they said, how come you haven't done it sooner? And I said, well, because I want to come in here and be doing burpees and be at least doing step-ups. And she's like, well, you're struggling with it now, so what's the difference going to be? She's like, you might as well just go ahead and do it. So
that's a very, very good point. I mean, we're only getting older, so get it done now if you have to.
Well, the part the doctor said for me was, he said, you'll probably recover pretty well. I hope he's right.
I'm going to put this by the microphone.
The sound. So I just decided that was excellent. I just decided that, that it's time to do it. And the doctor told me I'm able to do a lot of the CrossFit movements, and I just can't run hard. He doesn't want me doing heavy deadlifts or heavy front squats, and not to throw the CrossFit in. I want to be able to be fit and healthy at 60 and the same by 70. I want to have quality of life. So for me, this is important for me. I have 4 kids. I want to watch them grow up. I want to be healthy for a lot of reasons. I also want to be healthy because I'm a box owner.
Well, let's be real. The family does come first. I mean, if we dig all the way to the basics here, and quick audio thing, if that's your iPhone, put that on vibrate, because it actually, it's weird. The electronics tones make your microphone grab them faster than your voice. So I don't want to lose your great vocals. But hey, this is good podcasting. We're literally teaching you about podcasting while we're at it.
Thank you. Thank you for the education. I'm here for it.
It's going to be a whole lot of knowledge bombs today.
That's all right. That's good.
But to your point, and this is something I'm very, very passionate about in my business coaching, whether I'm talking to an ISA person, whether I'm talking to a marketing client, whether I'm talking to a CrossFit client, because as I told you, I also coach CrossFit. I just don't want to own a box. So, but people need to have a clear why. And that why changes depending on what we're getting involved with, what we're focusing on, but it's got to be a powerful why. And yeah, I know your box is important, your real estate's important, but that's all money, that's all community. But if you had to dig down to your core, your health, your fitness, your knee, it sounds to me like, your goal, your personal goals matter, but it sounds to me you're a family man. Am I right about that?
Yep. Well, I definitely am, although my teenage daughter might disagree with you at times. But
teenagers they disagree with everything. What are you talking about?
All this, no, it's great. So one thing I don't know that I've shared with you yet, Scott, because we don't know, but so I actually live in North Carolina. I'm from the DC area. And long story short, I actually moved here in 2011 because my youngest daughter, who's 13 now, has had 9 heart surgeries. So we spent, my wife was, God bless her, spent most of her time in the hospital. I was in and out of the hospital taking care of the other kids, doing what I could for about 6-7 years. So when you talk about my why, my kids are definitely my why. My priority was real estate. I had a decent practice in the DC area. I did well, but we decided after just all of the personal turmoil that goes on with.
You see this? The hairs are standing up on my arm when I hear somebody dies. Sorry, I have to interrupt you. Like, my hairs are standing up on my arm because of just that. I love transparency, and I can hear some of that passion and that love that's coming through. It sounds like you guys have been through a hell of a journey. I don't want to interrupt you any further. I just want to show you, like, dude, I love that stuff.
We have, and so, yeah, I mean, that was, and just to be more transparent, while we were, in the DC Children's Hospital, my wife and I, we took to chain smoking. We were out on the patio, and she and I were going through a pack a day of Marlboro Lights or whatever cigarettes we could get onto for probably 2-3 years. And, and we worked out before we went to the gym. It was just, we were kind of like.
You were still going to the gym during that?
Well.
So you were smoking gym rats?
Yeah, we were not quite that, because we didn't really have time to go to the gym at that time, but no, we were not. And,
okay.
and I know a number of those. So
it freaks me out. I don't understand it. I'm like, you're trying to stay fit, but you're killing yourself.
We have a few at our CrossFit. At our CrossFit. And
Are you serious?
The scope does not cover it up. So just the Listerine and scope, yeah, we do. Just a select few. But
okay.
In any case, so that was really, so when you ask me why, my daughter who has an artificial valve in her heart and is on Coumadin, so I started to research Coumadin, and my cousin who's a doctor said, that's used for rat poison. And so we're toxifying her body every day because we have to keep her blood thin, to prevent clotting on her artificial valve. And yet, so we wanted to get healthy. We wanted to exert our energy. And when she got through her 9th surgery, thankfully, we've had a few years of rest without having to go to have any invasive procedures done on Zoe. Zoe's her name. And so we've been able to rest. And we found in that time, I found CrossFit first, and then my wife found it afterwards. And, we quit smoking, and we stopped drinking diet sodas, and we did, not that we were big smokers before, but it just was one of those things that would, nicotine, people will talk to you about nicotine, caffeine, sugar, they're all addictive. And
let's be honest, whether you're talking about caffeine, sugar, or anything, any of those dependencies that we develop, which we all then try and fight to defeat, it's all tied back to your brain. A healthy brain or an unhealthy brain is either more addictive or less addictive. But again, it comes back to the addiction to the hormonal and stimulant responses. And again, I'm just a crazy, obsessed health nut that has learned this. So like, I would never be able to talk like this back in 2010. So, and again, I'm not a doctor. But like you being through all the hard stuff, you could talk about stuff that I don't even know about, because you basically have become a part-time doctor just trying to understand what's going on with your daughter.
Yeah, well, as we say, we know more about the heart than we'd like to, and then again, at the same time, reflecting on it, we're kind of glad we do. And my wife, I think, she could go in and be a nurse right now if she wanted to, without a certification, I believe. And, I think that would be a great calling for her, but thankfully she is patient, and when it comes to,
well, and let's be real, I've got a few nurses on my Isagenix team.
Yes,
it's not a healthy profession. They give and sacrifice so much, and I have so much respect for nurses and doctors. But the nurses go through, my God, it's powerful. They literally, their circadian rhythm, their sleep cycles are a mess. They don't rest and recover properly. They try and use workouts and CrossFit and things like that to try and balance their life, but they underestimate the power of healthy nutrition and healthy fitness. And all of this is all tied together, guys. Like, this is what we're all talking about. This is what you and I are getting together to talk about today here. It's like, it's the full circle. And for a lot of us, you have to pick one area to focus on first. So like for me, I was already a fitness nut and a health nut. And since you're sharing, I can't trump all these heart surgeries. You definitely take the cake on this episode here. And I know that you don't want to win that. That's not like anybody would ever want to win that.
I'm not here to win, man.
No. And Zoe sounds like a trooper. She sounds like a trooper.
Win for us both, and if somebody else can gain from it, great.
Yeah. No, and thank you for sharing this. This is powerful. I love this. So, but like I became more of a health nut after I've had my shoulder redone twice. Once in '99 and again in 2007. Due to some skiing accidents and some other things. So Been there, man. I've been there where it's like, oh my God, I'm going to go in for a surgery. It's going to slow me down. Luckily, the first surgery is what really kicked me into my cycling obsession and my fitness obsession after that. And then the second surgery was just because of years of mountain bike racing and being a jackass. And I wrecked it again, actually at a paintball tournament. So I get very competitive. And this is all pre-CrossFit. But to rewind for you, the reason why I got into CrossFit is because, and Isagenix actually literally at the same time, because in 2010 and 2011, I decided to leave the corporate world and I went to be a wildland firefighter out west. So I got to experience, again, kind of like what nurses and doctors are dealing with, the extremes of a very physically and mentally stressful position where you're working 16 hours a day on a fire line, you're hiking in the mountains, you got all this pack and gear on, and you're eating government-funded fire camps, which I'll just say this, it's not the best food. And sometimes you're on the side of a mountain and they can't get food to you, so you're in your gear, you're required to hike with at least 2 MREs. So now you know and I know how preservatives are terrible for you. And if you had to pick a product on this planet that has more preservatives, it's a freaking MRE. So now let's tie that into our military and all these other guys that are literally eating that crap. And like, it was a hell of a transformation. I'll just say that. But luckily, 2010, I finished the firefighting first summer, banged out. I think we did 1,900 hours in 6 months. And I went and hiked. I went backpacked Ireland, came back, and I was going up to Boston to do a personal trainer event to renew some CEU credits. Because prior to that, I had taught spinning for 6 years. I would teach 6 o'clock in the morning and then go to my corporate gig, because that's how I'd wake up in the morning. I wasn't even drinking coffee back then. I just would go in high as a kite off of a bike. So, but the cool thing was I was like, I don't want to lose this. I'll keep my CEU credits, went to Boston. And at that point in time, after that first year firefighting, I already started learning about CrossFit. That was the foundation of our physical conditioning and training to ensure we were strong enough, fit enough to handle the extremes of serving as a hot shot, because I was on one of those elite hot shot crews. It was no joke. Anyway, went to that event. That's when I found Isagenix. So here's the funny thing. You and I both know that Isagenix is headquartered in Arizona. My days off, I spent in Phoenix and Scottsdale because my base was 3 hours north of Isagenix headquarters. I didn't find out about Isagenix until I went to Boston to go to a personal trainer event for classes.
Isagenix is starting to grow now. That's crazy. Well, you have a new nickname in my book.
What's that?
That's Mitty. I'm going to call you Walter Mitty.
Oh, great movie, by the way.
That's one of my favorites.
A friend of mine told me about that movie. He's like, Scott, you need to go watch this movie. It's
and I'm telling you, every time I watch it, I pull something new out of it.
I will agree with you. I've seen it only twice now. I think now you're going to inspire me to go back and watch it again.
Oh, you got to. Whenever I feel like it, that's what I watch. But as I'm hearing you talk about your career and moving on and the outside lifestyle you have, and that's great. So
well, and I talk about this about lifestyle because it's important to remind people that as we mature and we pull our heads out of our asses, that's how I like to call it anyway. And we could truly pull our heads out of our asses at any age, people. So this is for our listeners. Like, you don't have to be, I'm turning 40 this year. You mentioned you're in your 50?
I'm 52.
52. So I would like to think that we're getting better at it as we're aging. But we can do it in our 20s. So the millennial generation has a strong potential to really make a lot of things happen and hopefully do better things than what our prior generations have done. So it's a whole different podcast. But the biggest wake-up call that I'm always trying to remind people is that, number one, I hit on it earlier, establish a strong why we're doing all this.
Right.
Because if you have the why, every step along the way, every new nutritional challenge you go through, every new workout you try, maybe you try CrossFit, you don't try CrossFit, maybe you decide to leave your corporate gig and go become a firefighter, whatever. Maybe when you first watched Walter Mitty, you went there just for your why was entertainment. But then when you leave a movie like that and you get inspired and it's like, dude, that dug deep, man. This is a bigger picture. Now your why has changed. And I just had to tie that into a full circle type of loop there because that was a great movie to bring up because that was a great movie. And it really got me to think deep.
To me, that was the best movie of the year that year for me. So
yeah, did he win any awards? Because he should have.
He didn't, and I thought his acting that was phenomenal. I just thought the movie itself, the message was phenomenal, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, but you're right though on the why factor, and
Yeah.
I went online searching. There's a site, What's Your Why? I don't know if you've ever seeked it on the internet, but it's a website. It's a website where and I was going to go on there and sign up for it, and I actually think I did sign up for it, and I started plugging things in, and I'm like, I know my why. I'm sitting here going, and I just shared it with you a moment ago, but it's you know, and you know, I mean, what's, you know, what are we here for? You know, you know, obviously we stay in shape, we stay fit, you know, we're trying to eat healthy because, you know, quality of life. We see a lot of people getting cancer now, and people dying a lot younger, and the numbers going way up, and obesity going way up. And, you know, I got 4 kids, and so for me, it's, you know, I love my children. I want to be able to at least pass them on. We do have a couple. Well, one of our kids is a little bit rebellious to both Isagenix and CrossFit right now, but she'll probably be the strongest CrossFitter there is and the strongest Isagenix promoter in about 3 years once she's beyond the rebellion phase.
Yeah, and also it's like one thing I had to learn, and actually I'm going to bring this full circle back to what we were talking about with Vinny Tortorich, the NSNG lifestyle. And the real reason why I call NSNG is because he literally trademarked, like he owns NSNG. Like that's his trademark. Or maybe,
He actually,
what's that?
Who owned that?
Vinny Tortorich. So he's and you said you bought one of the books I recommended earlier. Which book did you get? The Secret Life of Fat?
I bought the other one,
Secret Life of Fat or Fitness Confidential?
I bought the Secret Life of Fat.
Yeah, dude, that's going to blow your mind. And actually, I just released my top 10 most downloaded episodes podcast this morning. And Dr. Sylvia Tara and Vinny Tortorich are in the top 10. Like they are the 2 of the 10 most popular shows.
That's Sylvia's book, right?
Yes, that's Dr. Sylvia Tara, PhD. She's a biochemist, researcher. She's been spending 20 years just studying fat because she struggled with her own ups and downs of weight gain. So
yeah, it's got me in. I was in it last night watching it, trying to read it while I was sitting home and watching a little bit of basketball. And
I can't sit and read anymore. I have to do the audiobooks, and hers is available on Audible too. So
I thought about that. I'm not yet at that age where I need to do the audiobooks.
Well, for me, I don't listen to the FM radio in the car anymore. I'm listening to either podcasts, I stream podcasts, or audiobooks right through my iPhone through the Bluetooth.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. So, it just depends on the voice too. I have to like the voice. So.
Well, yes, and I will say I prefer Audible. A quick little side for our listeners. This happens often. It's cool, but I truly want to teach more people about the power of podcasts, audiobooks, all of this content. Because if you're in your car for half an hour to 45 minutes, you could be listening to a random music or annoying radio commercials, or you could be converting your vehicle or your workouts if you have headphones in your ears into a mobile university. And you can be crushing new content and growing yourself, your experiences, and your knowledge day in and day out. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's great. But it's true. I know I've been slacking there, and I know I have listened to audiobooks in the car before because I do a lot of driving in my real estate side of the business. So, I almost clicked on that button when I got it off of Amazon, I think it was, and I almost clicked on it. So,
well, I think it might be a hair cheaper too. I've lost track of how many. I have lots of hours on my Audible account. I know the last time I even looked on the Stitcher app, because when I listen to podcasts, I listen to iTunes too, but I try and use Stitcher is my favorite app for podcasting.
Right.
And the last time I looked, I've listened to over 5,000 hours of podcasts. So
that's a lot of hours.
Clearly a little obsessed. So
you're either doing a lot of driving or a lot of listening, or
both.
Both. There you go.
So, I mean, I live here in Pennsylvania, but one of my clients, I do business development and I grow their B2B relationships in upstate New York. So like Friday, I flew into Rochester, New York, and then I just took a rental car back. So I had a 4.5-hour drive back to Allentown, Pennsylvania. So I was like, hey man, I pop in the headphones, and because that was a rental car, I didn't have Bluetooth. So
that's good.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get forward here. Let's get into the nitty gritty here. What we're talking about. We've clearly, powerfully established your why. And everybody now knows that clearly you and I have been chatting a lot, because really, I think, yeah, you and I connected because of the ISACROSSFITTER community that I launched a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
What a great idea.
Dude, we have over 4,000 members in there.
Well, and you know how it happened. I was talking to Mark Smith, who's my guy that I talk to, and I said, listen, I think I should start a Facebook page for Isagenix CrossFitters. And of course, you know, I'm a lot newer to Isagenix than you are. And he said, well, you don't need to do that. There's already one out there. And I'm like, but I want to create one. And I was joking with him, and he said, no, you ought to go take a look. And I don't think there were 4,000 at the time, but I came on it. And I mean, to me, it's all about growing and knowledge and be able to share. And I think it was awesome. Great idea.
Well, and the funny thing was, I was just like you. There's actually another community that started before us. There's one called Isagenix Fit or Genix Fit, or like basically it's the way it's spelled out. It's Isagenix Fit or whatever. And I think they decided to use the X as CrossFit.
Right.
Whatever. And it's funny because the founder of that community reached out to me and she's like, hey, is there a reason why you created ISACROSSFITTER? I'm like, yeah, I didn't even know about you. I mean, I've been in Isagenix since 2010. I didn't know about the community.
Yeah, right.
I'm in ISA runners, and that's one thing I do love about social media. At least we're using the power of Facebook groups and these communities to create very focused educational portals for people.
Right.
Like there's a couple of groups out there just for people who are suffering from cancer and have illnesses and stuff like that. So It's cool to know that people are using technology for the power of good, and some people just want to be in their own little community. So, but yeah.
No, I mean, I see your Facebook page is great. I mean, obviously that's why we're here right now, but it is very valuable. And you know, I watch your podcast. That's what I posted something, I think, in there last month as well, just with questions, just about meal plans. Cause we're doing a challenge coming up in April, on tax day we're starting, and it's going to be a 45-day challenge. Lean, clean TTG machine is what we call it in our.
I like that.
And
and real quick for our listeners, guys, again, that's CrossFit, and then it's basically an extra 2 T's, so it's really 3 T's at the end. G.com. And Scott, what's your tagline?
Yeah, just so we have a few, but what I say is also getfrolly.com will lead to CrossFit TTG.
Wait, what was that one?
Get Fit Raleigh.
Oh, because you guys are hardcore in the Raleigh, North Carolina market.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, this is good because all of this stuff will go into the show notes for this episode on the website. So I'll have all this stuff hyperlinked in there, but that's good. Plus, that'll help increase your SEO and your online presence. That's another reason why you want to get on podcasts. So
that's good. That's good. So yeah, we have a few different slogans there, but you know, bring your fitness to another level is the latest one we're using. We believe we have a couple of staples, but we just feel like people when they come into CrossFit, just like when they learn about Isagenix, you know, they feel like they have to be in great shape to come to CrossFit, and that's the misconception. Well, that's the misconception, and the funny part is even the people that walk through our door that think they're in shape coming to CrossFit learn quickly that, and we always tell them, and I always tell people when they walk through the door, check your ego at the door, because you're going to come, you're going to sweat, you're going to, you know, it's going to be challenging. And as you know, as a coach, you know, it's challenging even for you coaches and even for, you know.
I tell people all the time, I've done, and this is before firefighting, before CrossFit, I had already run my first marathon in 2008, did a bunch of halves. I'm a huge cyclist, so I've done charity rides, like century rides are called, the 100 miles on a road bike. Like I love the ride. So I'm a spinning machine. And I've been a ski race coach for 11 years. I took this year off finally. I just needed it. There's just too much happening now. And, but the point is, it's like health, fitness, it's lifestyle. But CrossFit, I tell people, like, if you had to pick somebody that is pure about the purity of CrossFit, like I don't go in and try and put the heaviest weights up. Because I'm a multi-sport guy. Like I'm like the old school CrossFitter, which is like I help people understand that, guys, like everybody gets a chance to pick their own niche. And if that's what you love, that's great. But to be fair, the purity of CrossFit is that it's constantly variable, all those other, you know, rules and blah, blah, blah. The point is I should be able to take anybody out of that gym, AKA box, and put them into a sport and they should be able to survive. So like actually my friend's gym, he was one of the top 10 most downloaded SYR CrossFit here and his tagline says, "Start your revolution." And he's got one of the most successful CrossFit gyms in our area. I don't coach there, but he's closer to my house now that I've moved in with my girlfriend. So she's a member there. I coach at CrossFit Adoration over in Bethlehem. So 2 cities right next to each other. And they're basically about the same drive time. So I basically live in 2 worlds because I go to SYR just to work out for fun because I'm not bothered because I'm not a coach there, which is great. And then I go to Adoration, which I went there this morning, and I went there between our class time slots, so I wasn't going to get bothered, and I was just working on a few things.
Right.
But to your point, even us coaches go through problems. Last week, I was traveling, and I did something weird to my back before I left for the trip. And apparently, I don't know if you can actually, I'm not describing this the right way, but my chiropractor basically said it this way. He's like, I displaced, aka dislocated a rib in my back. So don't know how the hell I did it. I think I just wasn't paying attention, or maybe my form came out of alignment when I was doing a clean and jerk. And next thing you know, I couldn't breathe right because it was like all the muscles are stretched. So I had to deal with that like all weekend long until I can go in and get it worked on. So I'm still kind of recovering from that because it was such a quick, small little thing, but we all have our little hiccups, right? So, but has my weight changed in a week? I have no idea. I don't even own a scale anymore because I don't believe in it. But my lifestyle will sustain me through these little, I guess we'll call it an injury or issues. But to your point, you have your concerns of knees. One of the owners of our CrossFit gym, CrossFit Federation, is Jennifer. And she literally this morning is there on crutches with 2 new knees.
She had knee replacements?
Boom. So
she and I need to connect.
Well, she's also on my Isagenix team.
How fantastic.
Yeah. So basically Jennifer, like about a year ago, she had some issues with her knee. She's always had bad knees. And anyway, they literally like drilled holes in her patella. Like this is like over a year ago. Like so she had like mini surgeries to get her to the point where she finally needed to get like whatever she had done. And I don't know if she literally had full replacements or what. All I know is she's got 2 big incisions on the fronts of her knees.
Yeah. She had knee replacement.
So this is a big thing, but she's literally in there this morning. Here's that lifestyle piece. She's in there this morning, sits down on the bench. She's underneath the rig, sets up the bands, and she's just doing band work, man, working her back, working her shoulders. She's hardcore committed to the lifestyle. And she knows that, hey, I can't do a lot with my knees right now. And she has to take it easy for the first 2 weeks, but then they're going to be running her through PT. She's going to recover and she's going to come back stronger than ever. So,
yeah, that's great. That's great. Great to hear, man.
And she's in her 40s.
Okay. Wow. Knee replacements in her 40s. Yeah. Mine's from another long story. I was in a really bad car accident when I was 16. So I was in a crushed Jeep. So I'm
a Jeep lover. So that's hard on both fronts.
The good news is it was a Toyota Land Cruiser that my dad insisted on getting, and I was driving his Jeep, and I was cutting grass for a summer job, and I went over an embankment. I mean, the tire blew, went over an embankment, and
so you weren't even screwing around.
What's that?
You weren't even screwing around. This was literally an accident.
I was going to lunch.
Oh, Jesus.
I know. It wasn't even like one of your Walter Mitty trips. I was just driving the thing for lunch, and I was 16 years old and, inexperienced as well. But so I had a metal femur for 2-3 years, and they removed it. I was one of the first metal femurs. And yes, I used to go off when I would go to the airport, when I go through the old metal detectors back in the early 80s.
I still set them off a little bit. I got little tiny metal anchors from the first shoulder surgery. Every once in a while, they'll stop me and like touch me, and I'm like, it's shoulder surgery.
Yeah, I was when they could touch you.
Yeah.
So in any case, that's where it all started for me, and then football injuries, and I was able to do sports later on, but just not maybe obviously as I learned quite as much.
Well, so clearly that leg was taken or replaced and modified, or what? I mean, you still have the metal in there, or no?
No, the metal was taken out. Out was an incision, and it was pulled out of my femur 2.5 years later, 3 years later. I still have the metal. I saved it. So,
is that like a burglar thing? In case somebody breaks in, you can beat them with your old metal
It's
femur?
sharp, man. It's got spikes on it and everything. It's a steel. I mean, it's heavy.
So did your bone literally reheal, so they didn't need that in there?
It healed around it.
And what they did is pull right out of the center?
They pulled it out, and they had, and it was like they pulled it right out. I mean, it was done in such a way that it was already partially out, and then they just pulled it out, and then it automatically healed itself with the meds they put in the bone. And
I was going to say, because the core of your bone is actually essential for life. That's your bone marrow. Your bone marrow is literally, it produces red blood cells. It's like your bone marrow is very, very important.
I know, which is more reason to eat healthy and take care of the body. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I donate blood every 8 weeks. Like, I'm a regular donor. My girlfriend does it too. They like her blood more. She's got some kind of special blood. But I read about an article years ago, which got me hooked on it. And I would do a couple charity events when I was in the corporate world, like to help gather people together, do the whole blood mobile thing. But then I read a couple of health articles about how it's almost like giving yourself an oil change. Like, hey man, you got to drain it. So it kind of like stimulates and triggers your marrow to work a little harder. So it's actually good for you to donate blood. And I was like, cool, game on. And actually, for people who care about weight loss, actually you do end up losing a little bit of weight afterwards, not just because of the mass of the blood that's left your body, but because it kicks your body into a hardcore burn state, because it's, hey, I'm low on blood, I got to work hard. There's all kinds of write-ups on this. So anyway, I love getting people to donate blood.
Just make sure the listeners don't go out and schedule 5 in a row for,
Well, exactly. That's why they ask you before you even do it, like, hey, when was the last time you donated? So fast forward to today, your bone rehealed. You don't have the metal in there anymore. Clearly, you still have some mobility issues, which is why you're preparing to go towards getting a full-blown knee, leg surgery, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you reached out to me based on your own, and is this because of the doctor saying, hey, if you could lose a few more pounds back again, that'll make it easier, or no, just lifestyle?
No, it's, I haven't been able to, I've been doing my workouts, but I used to do a lot more cardio. And now for me, it's even difficult with the assault bike, even difficult rowing. I'm not rowing as well just because of my knee, it uses your knees quite a bit.
That's kind of funny you mentioned that, because cycling is one of the, and again, because I taught spinning for so long, I have used that to help so many people recover from leg injuries.
Well, I love it. I did the assault yesterday, and I go in, and that's what for warming up, when the CrossFit classes are doing some of the stretches I can't do, I'm on the bike for an extra minute, just to get my blood going, get my knees going, get my legs going. And I'll do toe touches, alternating toe touches, or little air squats, or as much as I can. But I can't go all the way down.
I was going to ask you, what's your range of motion? Are you able to break parallel right now, or no?
No.
Okay.
I used to be able to get 2 parallel, and that was my squat.
That was Jen's struggle. Like, her knees were so bad that getting beyond parallel was like she could never come back up.
They'd be no rep in me. No rep in me. I didn't want to be no rep, but that's not my concern. Is as much as it is.
Back to your earlier point, you want to be mobile as we're aging. You want to be able to do everything with your kids that you possibly can.
Right.
So,
I'm a different kind of fire breather in that I want to be healthy. I love CrossFit, love it. I'm not looking to go to the games, unlike my wife, who she claims not to be competitive, but as she's sitting there looking at the scores last night, determining where she is still in her top 200, I laugh because
it's okay. My girlfriend's the same way. She's like, she will not sign up for the Open. She doesn't want to pay the $20, but she knows how she's performing against everybody else in the gym. And she claims she's not competitive. And she claimed that she wasn't even going to do CrossFit about a year ago again. Then she's going to stop. And then she found this new box. So she moved here to SYR. And now she's obsessed with it. And she just asked me the other day, she's like, hey, do you want to go do a Spartan race again? And I'm like, for somebody who claims to be not so competitive, like, now all of a sudden in the past year, she's doing triathlons. with CrossFit, and now she wants to go back and do a Spartan race again with me. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, I laugh at my wife. My kids laugh, although my kids are getting a little frustrated because my wife's obsessed with CrossFit and she just loves fitness. And she's.
Hey, you know what? It's not for everybody, but if you're lucky enough to find something, like you just said, your fire breather. If you're lucky to find something that gets you to breathe fire and motivates you and stimulates you and inspires you every single day, whether it be CrossFit. Whether it be us, like part of our lives is the Isagenix world. Like I'm going back to another Isagenix university literally this coming weekend in Newark, New Jersey. I don't need to go there, but there's a best practice in life where they tell you if you get a chance to go to an event, any event, there's a vibe, man. There's that mutual fire breathing energy. You come out of that high as a kite, and I just it's worth it to me. I'll spend $150 to go to an event because I'll come back amplified.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
it's like going to watch the regionals, right? I'm sure you guys have gone and watched the regional comp. Like, dude, that's fired up.
yeah, that's definitely fired up, and I agree with you. I mean, it's listen, I love it. I just know for me, my life isn't like my, she and Juice, our head coach, is a phenomenal head coach.
You say his name is Juice?
Juice. So Juice and I opened this box up together, and I would not have opened it up if it were not for Juice. Juice is and I guess he probably wouldn't mind me saying this, but
I'd open up any business with some dude named Juice. I mean, that's you better be a fit dude if you're called Juice.
If it's the '90s, you don't want to name a guy go into business.
No, I would agree with you on that. We don't need white Broncos. No,
but he's about these you come. Juice was an All-American football player for Virginia Tech.
Nice.
And he is fit and he is lean and he's an incredible athlete and an incredible person. And what I'll tell you is, he's a fire breather. I mean, he loves CrossFit. He's passionate about it. He'll do 2-a-days, just like Katie, one of our other coaches, just like my wife, Sara. And, and I think it's awesome. And for me, I'm not quite that level of fire breather. I love CrossFit, but I love Isagenix. I love my real estate practice. I love my family. And not that my wife doesn't love those things too, but for me, I just want to be balanced. And so,
and I've actually had to re-educate this to a number of people. I'm sure you probably have a similar, and this is a quick lesson on network marketing. And because I do promote it. I can actually thank network marketing for really inspiring me to come after the entrepreneurial pursuits, because I grew up in an entrepreneurial family and wanted nothing to do with it. And then realizing years later, after chasing the startup world and then the corporate world, and then, make myself go back to school and all this other stuff, I realized, like, wait a minute, I don't like being a corporate monkey stuck on a ladder. I want to be in control of my own thing. And I wanted nothing to do with the Isagenix business. I was just using the products, going through the first detox. Because I literally rewind back to that earlier story, finished the firefighting season, came back from Ireland, went to that Boston event, and I had no energy. And I took a toxicity of the body course where at that event where I met Sherry Catlin. So I'm under the Catlin organization within the Isagenix world. She's one of the millionaires.
Right.
And she's like, her and her husband were teaching a class on toxicology of body. And she's like, Scott, this is what you need. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So a month later, I finally, after reviewing and researching the company, because I'm that kind of guy, I said, you know what, fine, I'll try it. I did that program and followed it to the T, because I'm anal retentive, and I was not trying to lose weight. I wanted to keep my strength. I just finished firefighting for 6 months, dude. I thought I was jacked. I looked like a big dude, but I wasn't lean. I wasn't cut. And my energy was in the tank. That's what was freaking me out, because I'm a high energy guy. My body was so full of toxins from the stress of the job, poor sleep, breathing smoke in the wilderness, because everybody's like, oh, you have an air mask, right? I'm like, no, dude, you're hiking in the mountains in the middle of the wilderness. You don't hike in with an air tank and an air mask. We're not city firefighters. Like, you have to be able to hike for miles. I mean, there's no air tanks. So anyway, all of that. So I did that first program. Within 2 weeks, energy, boom, shot through the roof. I was like, whoa, okay, there's something to this. I'll finish the 30 days out. When I was done, I had dropped 7 inches over my whole body. So now that you've been doing it for a little while, and I try and teach people, like, and guys, this to the listeners here, this is not just Isagenix. Let me go big picture here. The human body is designed and fully capable of detoxing itself. Okay, that's what your liver, your gallbladder, all that stuff is for. The endocrine system, all of this is for. The problem is, due to our environment and our healthy, or our wannabe healthy state of life, especially here in the US, we're not performing at a peak level of lifestyle. Most of us aren't. You got your highs and your lows. Right. So we need to kind of give it a little kickstart. I mean, hey, I need a little extra love. The body's being overwhelmed in so many other areas, and Scott, you'll be able to talk to this too after you going through your own detoxes, that it's like, all right, man, I need a little extra help. I need a little jump start. And that's what I realized from going through those programs. And that's not, I told you over Facebook Messenger, I only do those now like once a quarter, just because I love the high coming off of it. And literally I get done with a detox, I go back to the box, I'm usually hitting a new PR. And people are like, how the hell are you hitting a new personal record on your lifts if you just got done not eating for a day or two? And I said, because fasting has been around for over a century. Fasting exists in multiple planes, multiple ethnicities, multiple ways of life, other countries. It's religiously at that level. I was like, there's just a right way and a wrong way to do it. And I would rather go through a program that supports me with proper nutrition and proper nutrient density. So when I do hit that fasting state, my body's performing at a peak level to get the maximum benefit out of that fasted detoxed state of lifestyle. Right. So there's your quick little.
No, that's yeah. And my thing is really coming off the 1 day detox versus the 2. The cleanse days 1 versus 2, which I've done the both. The first one I did, the 2 day, was pretty intense, and that's where I really shedded a lot of weight. Although,
but see, that's normal. The first chunk of that, probably 1/3 of that weight, is going to be usually the water weight that your body was retaining to put the inflammation fire out, right? The stressors that's on your body. Yeah. People have to understand that. That's why when I see people like get a little dismissed because they had such a huge gain of losses in the first 30 days, I'm like, guys, your body's on fire. That's what inflammation means, all right? So your body's going to try and put the fire out. So you're going to have water retention weight. That's right. Normal. So yeah, of course you're going to lose that after 2 days. That's normal.
Yeah. So, and that was for me, that was the biggest shift now, but the eating, the clean eating, and, they give you the 260 calories per meal. They recommend on the, and so with me, it was finding the happy medium between doing my workouts at CrossFit. I learned not to do those workouts, even though probably like yourself, I would still go in and do a little bit of a light workout on those days.
Yes and no. I've talked about this in the ISACROSSFITTER community, that especially if you're doing a 2 day, I truly do believe in, what's the brain health doctor on the board of our company? He's the one who created the brain health supplements. That little strong, strapping doctor. What the hell's his name?
Yeah.
Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. He's like this little dude, but he's just jacked and crazy high energy. But anyway, his point is, and he's valid, is that your body's going through such a, and I don't want to use the word stress, but let's say a potentially stressful state, going through the fasting and the focus on the detoxing, that if you're doing other extreme things at the same time, you're confusing the body. Okay. I recently had on, and actually I talked about it on this morning's episode that aired, a famous neurosurgeon from Louisiana by the name of Dr. Jack Cruz. And this guy is like literally, he does, I don't know if you heard of the new biohacking lifestyle. Like I'm a biohacker. I'm constantly finding ways to hack my biology and get peak performance. This is beyond Isagenix. And anyway, he's like, no, dude. He's like, I'm at a different level. He's like, I'm a mitohacker. He's like, I am hiking at the neurological level, the mitochondria in your cells. And I'm just like, damn. Anyway, that guy has already hit 5,000 downloads since I aired his show on my show. I mean, this guy has a crazy following. The YouTube video I aired has like 3,000 downloads. It's just the guy's got a big following because he's doing stuff that a lot of like regular everyday layman people will be like, that's just crazy. That doesn't make any sense. But he talks about proper sleep, proper rest and recover, circadian rhythm, all of that. And that's what I'm trying to tie back into this, is that yes, fasting's good, detoxing is good, but you also need to make sure the rest of everything else is dialed in, right? The nutrition up to those days or 1 day, the nutrition after that 1 day. More importantly, did you allow your body to rest and recover. There is so much importance, because this is something that the CrossFit world is guilty of. And I have no problem speaking out about this because I'm in it. And there's almost like this hero concept where, oh, dude, I worked out 6 days this week, or I'm the juice. I'm doing 2 workouts a day.
2 days, right?
There's no advantage to that. That's just a hero complex. Yeah, you got to let your body rest and recover, because if you don't, this is what increases injuries, torn ligaments, tendons, or going back to this detoxing and cleansing, you might not get the maximum benefit out of that detox cycle you just ran through. Because again, you're trying to tell your body, hey man, hey organs, there's no food digestion today, right? So you're taking a break. I'm just gonna be hydrating like crazy and cycling only the most essential minerals and nutrients from the vitamin support that we do in our detox program, right? And so it's like, okay, a light workout better be the lightest freaking workout you've ever done. You better like go for a walk or whatever, because again, the other reason why we don't want to put our body through a lot on that day or days is because most people aren't resting recover enough on a normal day. So that's another excuse to let your body just boom, baby, just recover. So
yeah, well, I created this a little Facebook page for a number of my Isagenix people, and you know, it hasn't grown that much because I haven't really focused on building my Isagenix business.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I got too much other stuff going on.
You know, because you know, I love the product first and foremost, and I can tell you do. And
it's sitting right there.
Yeah, I do. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that. So I know I want my ageless essentials. I know you've got your greens. I've got my.
You better be using this, the Ionic Supreme.
I am.
If I had not gone through that cleanse days in 2010, I never would have gotten hooked on this stuff. Yep. Every single day, I drink this. I drink it like a tea.
I have the large bottle of it out of my fridge, and unfortunately, I have a habit. I have a Scot bottle because I like to swig out of it because I got tired of measuring the cups. So I have it in there with my name on it in the fridge. Kids know not to touch it.
I never got into the liquids. I love the powder form because it's very mobile, right? Because I travel so much. This is great. So
did you ever try the liquids?
They're a little more pungent.
They are.
They're very, like, you really taste like the herbal, like there's a lot of herbal knowledge that's gone into this design. It's like there's a lot of very super concentrated superfoods or whatever and extracts. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, I've tasted the liquid. I'm like, whoa, that is potent.
Yeah. Well, so what I was saying and finishing my thought on the Facebook is, so I have a site called the Inside Out Health Lounge, and in there, you know, I posted today because what you were talking about is you can't out-train a bad diet. So, you know, you could do 2 days, you could work out, you're saying overwork out. And, you know, again, you're talking about detox days, but it just kind of related. And I thought that's what I tell a lot of my people is you can train as hard as you want. If you're going to go out and eat at Arby's or, you know, Chick-fil-A or any of those places, you know, you're going to, you know, mess it up and, you know, so.
We see, and this goes back to a very early point in the show where we talk about how everybody's got at a different level. We're all playing at a different level, right? Like I'm 6 months into a podcast show, whereas somebody just Facebook messaged me today, introducing me to another new podcaster, and he's going to hop on a coaching call with me, and I'm going to teach him how I got started to help him get his podcast off the ground. So again, like I'm no better than him. I'm just 6 months in where he's where I was 6 months ago, right? Whereas you're at a different level than a new CrossFit customer coming in.
Sure.
Or I've been doing Isagenix for 7 years. You've been doing it for I don't know how many years. So like we're all at different levels.
5.
Right?
Yeah.
5. There you go. See, that's still pretty strong actually. So the point is that years ago it was, I need to dial my nutrition back in. So what you just said meant a lot more to me back then. But now because I've built that consistency, I'm at a different level now. So now I'm focused the past 2 years and more focused on the proper rest, sleep cycles. Like a lot of people are still just focused on quantity. It's not just quantity. Your circadian rhythm is based on quantity of hours of sleep, consistency, and the actual cycle. So if you're going to bed at 2 a.m. one night and then 8 p.m. the next night and then 10 p.m. the next night, it literally is affecting your circadian rhythm because your body wants a little bit of programming.
Right.
Which is kind of funny though, because in the CrossFit world, we talk about how we want to be constantly variable to confuse the muscles, and that's fine from a muscular tissue, benefit and strength building. Yes, we want confusion there. But when it comes to your body's ability to truly recharge, rest, recover, take all the benefits out of all that nutrient density that you consumed all day long from your improved diet lifestyle.
Right.
If you are the most amazing, if you're on Team Isagenix, right? You're an Olympian, you're one of our pros, pro level athletes just crushing it. I guarantee you they play at a different level with their sleep, rest, and recovery. I guarantee it.
I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
There's no way you can make it to the Olympic team without proper sleep, rest, and recovery and a good, smooth circadian rhythm. So that's where the past 2 years, I've taken it to that level. And then, and admittedly, I'm going to contradict myself here. The whole Isagenix piece, which is what you and I really started reaching out on, the whole NSNG, no sugars, no grains. That's been a big push for me the past year and a half. And to be fair, if I was a hardcore NSNG guy, I would not be consuming this because there's still a few grams of sugar in here that maybe is more than it should be, but I will give Isagenix props. They do derive their sugars from vegetables, so there's a better glycemic index there.
Right.
But to focus on what Dr. Sylvia Tara talks about and Dr. Jack Cruz talks about and Vinny Tortorich, because he brings on all these doctor professionals on his podcast, I've been a voracious consumer for a while, is you really want to make sure whatever your sugar intake is, number one, is minimal. And number two, you got to remove the spikes. So just like we just talked about regarding your sleep, how you want a consistent quantity, picture a bar graph, and then you also want a consistent frequency. You want a smooth consistency. The same thing goes with our hormonal levels that are affected by sugar. All of them talk about if you truly want to impact weight gain and weight loss and all of this, you're focusing on leptin and ghrelin. Those are the two hormones in our body that are most affected by sugar fluctuation and sugar consumption.
Right.
So we talked earlier about how your brain is very obsessed and hooked on the sugar. So it takes time to wean the brain off because there's a chemical addiction there. And then there's also the issue of we got to start trickling, it's called sugar trickling, but trickling the sugar back because you want to start smoothing out the hormonal fluctuations because that is what has been triggering diabetes and everything else. So great, you've removed soda and fast food, all those processed crap. But a lot of people don't realize that, for example, the average human being, I don't know if you know this, eating an entire banana actually has too much sugar.
Yeah.
You ever hear that? So everybody making their own smoothies, like here's the thing. That's why I tell people, like, if you want to be a purist with Isagenix, do not add anything to your shake except healthy fats. That's it. Like, because I truly believe it can't hurt to have a few more healthy fat sources in here. So like I modify this and I'll add in literally a straight shot of olive oil. And I order my olive oil from Italy and I promote it on the show because everything in this country is completely tainted. It's modified. It's unregulated. Yeah. I get my stuff straight from Italy, dude. And I have my own discount code. So if you actually want to have the most amazing olive oil ever, check that out.
Email it to me.
Oh, it's on the website.
I still haven't decided if I'm going to add olive oil to my shake, but
well, I literally do shots of it every morning straight. Even if I'm not having a shake, I literally drink it right out of the bottle. There's something called
Ionic Supreme. So.
Yeah, exactly. But because when you have pure, legit olive oil, untainted, and you've never had it before, there's actually like a peppery taste. The area of Italy they're from is called Puglia, Puglia. And they actually literally, Bill Capelli nicknames their olive oil the Puglia pinch because when you take it straight, there's a peppery aftertaste. That's how strong it is. I've never tasted this on any other olive oil that I've ever had in my life. And anyway, the point is there's so many good things, antioxidants to come from pure olive oil, the rich, healthy fat content, which is great for us.
Right.
The issue, there's so many things we can go with, and that's a whole other podcast for us. So I know we've been on it for a while. And you're more than welcome, by the way, to return, and we can do like some update sessions. So the point here is this: cut the sugar, increase your healthy fats. Don't go crazy on the healthy fats because some people try and go super healthy fat that they're literally overloading their body with too much healthy fat at one time. Just like we talked about, right? Smooth consistency, that even plateau. But again, I'd recommend listening to Vinny Todovich's show once in a while. He brings on some powerful doctors and experts who they have chosen to say, listen, I'm not just a doctor pushing drugs anymore. I'm going to study nutrition. I'm going to study proper sleep. We're going to discuss the fact that over the past 20 years, especially here in the US, we have removed necessary sources of healthy fat from our diet. And then because those flavor profiles have disappeared, they compensate by adding sugar. And that's one of the reasons why I'm big on no sugars, no grains. There's no value in grain anymore. Never was, really, to be fair.
So let me ask you this question. What was your toughest grain to eliminate in your diet when you gave up grains?
Admittedly, I realize now I did not consume a lot of grains. I've always been I grew up on a farm, so yeah. I've always eaten a lot of meats, cheeses.
So
It was really more of a habit. It's like when you go to a sandwich shop, somebody years ago decided that a sandwich is supposed to have bread. And you take all the good stuff and you got to stick it between two things because you need something to hold on to it. And I'm like, okay, so why don't now I spoil myself. We have a very high-end grocery store here called Wegmans. And
I know Wegmans.
Okay, yeah, dude, amazing. But anyway, they have like this, I forget the brand name, but you can get this special head of lettuce, but it's not like cheap, crappy iceberg lettuce, which has no nutrient value at all. But it's like these beautiful cupped forms of leaves are massive. And they're grown in like a greenhouse and it still has the root ball on it. But I love plucking them off and that becomes my bun. So because I literally ordered a quarter of a cow this year. So I have tons of meat on hand. And so when I'm grilling, yeah, I make burgers and then I have a lettuce bun. And now there's trendy restaurants now putting lettuce buns on their menu.
We do. I'm trying to get a sandwich not a sandwich, a meal named after us in one of the local restaurants here. I'll call it the CrossFit TTG. And we haven't decided yet what we were going to have, but it was either going to be a bunless burger in a bowl with lettuce, tomato, with vegetables and that kind of stuff, with avocado and
definitely avocado. You want another great source of healthy fats.
I love avocado. So we're planning it. They've already said they're going to do it for us. So we're just trying to determine the exact meal to do it. But
so to answer your question though, you'd asked about that whole grain thing. Admittedly, so here's a quick little story on inflammation, especially for your knees. Okay, I was hiking in the mountains for 2 years, basically all summer, then you're off for the rest of the year. It would take, a couple of months for my knees to stop hurting. Because we were hiking in steep terrain, like literally I could be on the side of a hill and like touch the hill, like that kind of crap. And I had a 45, 50-pound pack on and a 25-pound chainsaw on my one shoulder. That was my lifestyle. So that's a lot of wear and tear on the joints, right? And at the time, I was very hooked, or I became hooked on the Isagenix joint supplement and the joint cream. And it's great, by the way. I still recommend it, but because I needed it at that time. And so I took that joint supplement for the past 3-4 years to rebuild all the stuff that's good for your joints. And then I used the cream whenever I had a bad night because we would camp under the stars. So I would actually rub that stuff onto my knees before I climbed into the sleeping bag and went to sleep for the night before I'd wake up the next day and go fight some more fire. So the point is, there you go. You got it? Yeah, ageless joint support. So I was already taking other stuff before Isagenix because I thought I had to. Now, I was the old GNC guy or the vitamin shop guy. I'll never step foot in those stores ever again.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, I noticed that our supplement was amazing. And when I came back from my ski race coaching, my ski race director is in his 70s, and he has since had his hip replaced. But back then, his knees were terrible. And I showed him that, and he switched over to that because he was going to one doctor for those primary ingredients. Then he was going to an Asian medicine doctor for anti-inflammatory herbs. And he looked at our ingredients. He's like, Scott, all the stuff that Chinese doctor is giving me for anti-inflammatory is in your joint supplement. So he's like, great, I only have to take one tool now. So that's why he switched over. And it was the only product that he used from us.
That's great. That's great. Well,
so that reinforces why you're taking that. And now here's the funny thing. fast forward, my past 2 years of just removing what remained. And here's the hard thing. I lived in Colorado and Arizona before moving back here to Pennsylvania. Especially Colorado, dude, I'm a mountain bike racer, road cyclist. You get done doing a bike ride or a race, what are you doing? You're drinking some beer. So this year has been a very hard struggle for me of literally trying to stick to red wine only because all my buddies drink beer. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this to see, because I'm a biohacker. I got to see what the impact is. Because really, most beers, you're literally chugging down liquid grains.
I know.
That was, if that's the answer to your question, the hardest grain for me to remove from my lifestyle, because it was casual and it was social, was having the occasional beer.
Yeah.
And here's why. I was so grain free, except for beer. I'd go weeks without having it. If I drank a beer, all of a sudden, my joints started hurting the next day, or my skin started drying out. Because just like going through a cleanse, if you remove stuff from your body and you allow your body to rest and recover and get used to purging that from the system, that's the best way to test if something belongs in your body or not. Cycle it out, let it out for a while, cleansing, all that, right? Our new lifestyle, the Isagenix lifestyle or whatever. And then a couple months later, try adding something that you remove back into your life and see how your body responds.
Yeah.
That's, I tell people, like, you don't need to go to a doctor for this. We all could do this. So remove it, get over the psychological issues with it, give it some time, get your body to get used to not having it. Now say, okay, you know what? Can I have this or not? Well, I'm going to add it back in. The biggest thing on that is years ago, I went through the cleanses and started building that lifestyle. For some strange ass reason, green peppers do not agree with me. Like the green bell pepper, I don't know what it is. I get this weird aftertaste. And so now years later, I try not to eat green peppers. I don't know. I don't know if it's a thing or not, but for some reason when I eat that, I get this nasty aftertaste. And I never had that problem until I went through my first detox. And then I started noticing how things, like my body was finally sensitive. It was no longer numb. This is something I teach people with cleansing. I'm like, guys, like, get your body so healthy that it's finally talking to you again and telling you what's working and what's not.
Right.
And I don't know if you get into that level of conversation with your athletes or not, but that's the power of this.
Yeah, I haven't probably gotten that deep, although that's where I want to go. And so that's kind of why we're having the conversation. And, you know, this is obviously important to me. For me, you know, busy life just as you have, you know, it's just trying to, you know, segment my day so that I know that, you know, Isagenix, which is a big part of my day already, the non-eating portion of the non-Isagenix day is clean and grain-free and sugar-free, and that's sort of my goal. And I get away from it, and in our family, we have cycles. You know, we'll have my wife will come in with sweets in the house before a movie or something, and I'm just like going, can't be doing that in front of me.
Because I listened to my co-hosts multiple times earlier in the show. You said you're a grazer. All right. One other thing that was my struggle was I love chips and salsa, and I love crackers and cheese. Because for years, that's what if you serve somebody cheese, you have to serve them crackers. If you serve them salsa, you have to serve them chips. Somebody decided that in marketing and years of commercials, right? Because, and it's a whole other episode, but long story short, I grew up in farming many, many years ago. The Dust Bowl in your history lessons, the farms need to be saved by the government. The government subsidized grains to save the farms. Now the government makes money on grains when the farms make money on grains. It's still that way to this day. So when you look at the food pyramid, which is completely ass backwards here in the U.S., what is the biggest foundational element of the food pyramid? Grains. Yep. So flip that, and then you finally have the proper food pyramid. I mean, it still has grains involved in it because it'll be that small portion at the top. But I'm saying, if you're not ready to cut all grain out of your life, fine. Flip the food pyramid. Redesign it. And you will finally start seeing people's health improve. Yep. And I'm not the only one talking about this. Very, very smart PhDs are talking about this.
Unfortunately, and another segment, another time, but not only the food pyramid, but then, you flip, and obviously they don't want to change that up because then it affects the medical pyramid.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a whole other thing.
As you know, pharmaceutical controls, and they're all tied and intertwined. And it's an ugly cycle. We've learned
the pharmaceutical industry does not want us to heal. If we heal and recover, they won't make their money. They need us hooked on drugs. I don't go to a doctor. Like when I'm done with this episode here shortly, I'm going to go to my chiropractor and have him check on that rib that popped out of my back and give me a nice little, because I want my body to move properly. I'm a holistic practitioner and customer. I'm not saying that the doctors aren't important. Yes, if there's disease and illness and there's nothing else to fix it, yeah, you have to go once in a while. I just went to a skin doctor last week to have some skin tags looked at and a mole or whatever. Like, yeah, they're there for a reason. But if a doctor pushes drugs on me from minute one, I'm going to question that. I want to find out, okay, is it a drug-related issue or is it something that I can cure myself through natural practices? So
8 out of 10 doctors are pushing the meds.
And to be fair, I've had MDs on my show. Doc Beast is a friend of mine. His name is Doc Beast. He's a ER doctor here locally, big CrossFitter, big, strong black dude. Love it. He's been on the show. He's had his own episode. He came right out, and he's a Shakeology guy. So we had the first ever Shakeology guy talking to Isagenix guy because we care about the big picture, right? Which is health. And and I got him to admit, just like multiple other doctors, that unless a doctor chooses to put nutrition first in their personal studies in their free time, they don't have the time. There's continuing education that has to happen throughout their career, but there's only so much time they have to work on that. And because most doctors have become a punch ticket system, they gotta see so many patients a day. It's just an assembly line. And unfortunately, the only thing they have to learn is what the drug reps are teaching them week in and week out. And so until they take the time to start making nutrition a priority of their study, they don't know shit. I mean, they all admit when they got their MD, the average MD program literally covers nutrition. It's only about how I think they said it metabolizes in the body. I think they have 1 hour of study.
I was going to say, my cousin's a spinal surgeon, and he said,
boom.
Yeah, we're not taught about nutrition.
No, which is hilarious because
how important is nutrition?
Yeah, exactly. Let me think about this. So what you're telling me is that you guys are going to push drugs all the time because you don't know any better. But you also know that the body, no one can live just on drugs. You have to feed the body nutrition or some kind of food.
Right.
But yet you only study drugs.
Right.
So finally, and this goes back to Isagenix and why we have a board of doctors guiding us, because they've all admitted this. They all say, listen, once we finally realized that there's a bigger picture, and they finally realized they wanted to start truly providing health care and not health Band-Aids, which is what a drug is. A drug is just creating a Band-Aid because you haven't figured out the source problem.
Right. Exactly.
So,
you're right. And
we get very passionate about this. I'm sorry.
It's important. It's baffling to me that it's not addressed, the nutrition in the food.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
So it's like going to a dentist's office, and when you leave, they give you a lollipop on the way out.
Oh God, yeah. It's wait a minute, you just fixed my teeth, my gums, and everything else.
Right,
and
here's a lollipop.
And you just gave me sugar, which could trigger another cavity.
I used to, as a kid, I so look forward. They had these big lollipops, and I would eat the big ones, and I'd be like, I can't wait to leave my dentist's office so I can have that large lollipop.
It cracks me up, bro. It cracks me up.
I know. Well, it's the oxymoronicness of the whole industry, and I agree with you. So
and again, it's going to take people like us. We're not going to change the world overnight. I mean, we've dug a pretty damn deep hole as humankind. I'm sorry, across the planet. And unfortunately, I think our country is one of the worst contributors because we're driven by money. And it's very unfortunate because other countries look to us in a lot of areas to lead.
Right.
And we are teaching people the McDonald's way of life.
You're right.
Or the Burger King way of life, or the Pizza Hut way of life. And I'm like, that is laziness. There's zero nutritional value there.
I agree with you. So,
well, hey, this has been freaking awesome. I mean, I know that we spent a lot of time really getting to know you and us as because we're a new relationship as friends here now. But we definitely dug into hopefully some nuggets here towards the end. That is what you were looking to get out of this conversation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I will close out one point here. Most of the doctors I talked to, including Vinny Tortorich, who's not a doctor, but he's a big push behind SNG, is they remind us that if you have a great daily regimen of good, rich vegetable content, and obviously it helps using the greens to fill in the gap, but you actually are getting all of your essential sugars that your brain needs. There's actually, I forget the exact measurement. I believe our brain literally daily only needs 2 milligrams of sugar or something ridiculously small. So everything else beyond that is just creating that whole hormonal battle with leptin and ghrelin.
Right.
So this is why, like, we got to start finding ways to hack that, smooth that out. I'm not saying go off your grains yet. Not everybody's at my level yet, and I'm not perfect, but I'm saying we got to start making, like, realizing, read the freaking label, like, okay, wow, I already got a good amount of sugar. I don't count calories. I don't even count my protein anymore. I don't even count my fat.
So you're not a MyFitnessPal guy then?
I used to. But see, because at that time, it was a tool to help me get to that level. And now that I've grown beyond that level. So because I teach people this, like, guys, like, once you get used to doing something, it becomes programmed.
You don't need to look at your phone.
We all are at different playing levels. So yeah, I still recommend FitnessPal for a lot of people because they're not there yet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. As some of my friends tell me, not everybody's at my crazy level yet. And people are like, well, people still want to live their life. I'm like, dude, I live a great freaking life.
Yeah.
My energy is through the roof. Everybody knows me as the crazy high energy guy because I'm putting my body and my health first. So
you're right. You're right. I get it. I get it, Walter.
I get very fired up about this.
Walter Mitty. That's it. My Walter Mitty PA. So
I like it, man. You're my first friend with Scot with single T. So
hey, man.
I like it.
Scot to another, right? I'd love to continue on too. So.
Yeah, we both got busy days ahead. So listen, you're new to the show, so I'm gonna probably surprise you here a little bit. But every co-host who comes on the show, I want them to have the opportunity to have the final word before I close it out. And when I'm done here, just hang tight. I'll give you a proper goodbye once I stop the recording. But this is your opportunity for our listeners to really take, if they forget everything else on the show today and don't go back to the website and read the show notes or whatever, this is your opportunity for the final word and just leave a piece of you behind for our listeners. And what is maybe one of your messages that you're trying to get out to the world through everything that you're doing?
You know, I'd probably say I'll take you back to my why. And I know as we talk about, it's the most important thing. We know that nutrition is healthy. We know that exercising is good for the heart and the mind. We know that putting the right foods in your body are important. We know that drugs are not good for you necessarily. They're a Band-Aid. But I think you have to have a passion for the things that you choose to do in life. And so for the why, I was confused by my why because I thought it had to look a certain way. And yet, if you get me talking about my daughter like you just did, you know, it's a passion that we all have, that it's you don't even have to say anything, people get it. And so I would just say that for people, whether it be CrossFit, whether it be, you know, Isagenix, whether it be Shakeology, as long as you are fulfilling the destiny of really serving and being able to focus on your why, then, you know, I would say, you know, follow your heart and your passion and follow your why, you know, just follow it. And it's, you know, I love Isagenix products. I love CrossFit. I love my family. And as I get older and gain wisdom, I try to take the wisdom of others who have more wisdom than I, and there are a whole lot more of those than the wisdom that I retain. So, you know, and so I'm always trying to grow, constantly learn. And I would say, if you need to search for your why, look at what makes you passionate. If somebody talks to you about something and, you know, you're bored by it, or it doesn't bring out a tear in your eye, or bring out, I think that's really where the passion lies, and where the why lies is what are you passionate about in life, and you know, and what would you be willing to, you know, give up everything else for? And I think that's my why, and that's kind of what I would say to the listeners out there, that, you know, obviously I wasn't prepared for it, but, you know, talking about my daughter, something I try not to do, because I can get emotional about it, because it's spending 7 years in a hospital, as many of your listeners have battled with family members, like my sister who just finished chemo, who my mother was upset with because she was doing the chemo. And yet my sister had the task of making a decision. Do I want to live, or do I want to try a holistic way? And yet my goal now with her is Isagenix and creating a healthy lifestyle and a healthy diet for her so that she doesn't have to go through chemo again. And I would say for all the listeners out there, I'm sure everyone has somebody in their downline and their line of people in their life that has battled cancer, that has battled tumors, that has battled heart condition issues of some sort. And I really believe that cleansing and detoxifying your body is the step to getting healthy so that you can fulfill and live to be a part of your why and make your why you exist. So
well said, sir. And thank you for more transparency and honesty. And I will actually close out with one thing for your tip. You better be checking out Vinny Tortorich because he's also a cancer survivor.
I will.
Because his doctor who helped him survive got him off sugar.
Well, send me the link to his last name. I just need the spelling of his last name. So.
Oh yeah, like I said, he's all over the website, and actually he's in the highlights from today's episode. So if you went to livewithfuel.com and the most current episode,
I did.
If you scroll down the show notes, Vinny Tortorich is linked right there. So he had the spelling of his name, and it's linked to his site on Facebook, and it's his name, VinnyTortorich.com. But I'm telling you, man, that's why he became such an advocate for cutting sugar and grains out of your lifestyle, because he's literally surviving leukemia to this day.
Well, that's my purpose in this is for me, but also to share with my sister who just
let's give him back, man. Is that why, right?
There's another why. So
well said.
It's well, listen, thank you for all your help and your thoughts and your education with me. I appreciate it. And I look forward to doing it again. So.
Oh yeah. Hang tight here. One last minute here. I'm going to close out the show. So again, to the listeners, guys, that's it, man. Scott is preaching the good word here. Make sure you check him out at CrossFitTTG.com. And again, I'm going to have everything linked on the show notes. We'll make sure you guys can find him on social media and follow these guys on Instagram and all over the place. But I love his honesty and his transparency. And again, guys, if you're new to the show and listening today, this is what we're all about. We're here to fuel your health, your business, your lifestyle. And Scott's living all of that right now with us. So I look forward to having him back on the show. You've heard it before. Keep living the fired up epic life. And we'll talk to you guys again soon. All right, you're clear. So
awesome.
Well said, Scott. Thanks for joining the show. It's been a long one. And
it was, but it was worth it to me. It was educational. And
like I said, this will all air Friday. I'll send out all the links. You'll get blasted all over social media and this YouTube video as well. I'm going to make sure this goes and gets reposted into our ISACROSSFITTER community so other people see that, hey man, we got at least one voice in there that is getting his voice out there even larger. So I'm honored to be able to give back like that.
Are you going to Photoshop this right here? No, I'm kidding.
No, actually, I'm sorry. Actually, real quick though, because it's website and you have images paired with text. If you do have two at least quality images of you or you in your gym or whatever, like pitch through some stuff and email those over to me because I'll need that because if you've been to the website, every co-host gets their mug, up on there with the graphic and the show number.
I have a photo mug from a few years back. It's like a really close-up kind of that I use on my – I'm a real estate guy, but I don't post my photo on my signs and stuff. And then there's another picture with me, and I was with the tailback, came and worked out at our CrossFit.
Pick something that you're comfortable with. It doesn't matter. I had a guy from Vermont who started his own CrossFit gym in an elementary school. So it's a group photo. He's only one person in the group photo. It's whatever you want to shine forth.
I have a picture. It's a picture with Willie Parker.
Oh, dude.
So we just finished a workout together, and he worked out. And I've got that picture floating around. I'll send you a couple pictures, and I appreciate it, and I enjoyed this. But I'll tell you, it's really funny because I'm one that I love people, and I can talk all day long to people, but I always hated the stage. Hated the stage. Even though,
isn't this more relaxing? It's just two people having a conversation. Every person who's told me that, they're like, dude, this wasn't bad at all. This is pretty easy.
I was looking at the clock going, wow, it's been 30 minutes. It was like 30 minutes in. I was like, wow, that's not bad because I'm seeing myself there going, oh, God, there's my mug. But so I'll have to work through that. And I would like to talk to you about it and maybe your services and maybe helping me create kind of a podcast, tying in some of the similar notes, maybe with,
everybody starts somewhere, be patient, take your time. And if that's something you're thinking about doing.
Well, it's something I've toyed with. I toyed with doing it with real estate. I toyed with doing it.
But you can do both. You can call it help, the Fit Realty podcast or something ridiculous. I don't know,
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, make sure, just like your why, make sure your message or whatever brand you're creating, and we can talk about this, but I'm a branding guy. I help people work on their brands. Like, you have to control how you exist. You also need to be proud about how you exist. And the power of a podcast is after the first year or two, it's literally going to build you authority in whatever space you're targeting. So clearly I'm targeting free domains, health, business, lifestyle. So
Right.
this is building my authority.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's good branding. I did. And so this is my
nice
market sense, real property, real sense.
There you go.
And I kind of tagged it because you could kind of play market sense. I mean, I own.
Hell, dude, you can call it getting fit with market sense, and fit could just relate to your marketing. It could relate to how you're selling your house, or it could literally relate to fitness.
That's good. I like it.
There you go.
I like it.
That's a free.
I love talking ideas, man. I'm an idea guy, so I'm always hashing it out. I mean, I always create these things. But
all right,
well,
brother.
thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it, and I will look forward to hearing from you again. I'm going to check back with you too. I'm definitely going to look up. I've made a bunch of notes here too from our conversation.
Sure.
So hopefully my head wasn't looking down too much as I was jotting notes.
Nah, you're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Like I said, the software will literally depend on who's talking. It pans back and forth in the YouTube video. So like if I was making a noise, it'll go back to me, then it goes back to you. So it's very two-way. It's not just you.
So how expensive is that service of editing? I mean, when you have
my editor, well, the video, I don't edit anything on the video. Whatever this, when I hit stop recording here, it'll just sit there and convert everything into a video file, and then I just upload it to YouTube. Okay. The audio file, the only thing that I edit, which I already stopped on my recording device here, is I add in my pre-programmed intro and outro, so the branding is consistent. But no, I use a guy on Fiverr right now. I had a full-time guy, but he just shut down his business, so I'm literally using a guy on Fiverr right now.
Great, isn't it?
Oh, it's awesome. But I do all my own social media. I do all my own video work. I mean, eventually as the show grows, I'll need to handle that stuff off, but it's not hard.
Yeah, I use Fiverr. We were having trouble with Train to Go, and so I use Fiverr for our TTG logo, it was really hard to put a TT and a G into CrossFit TTG. Yeah. So they came up with that on Fiverr.
Well, and now if you need better redesign work, I highly recommend, it's a crowdsourcing site called designcrowd.com.
I use Design Crowd. Well, I have one of the people she's over in Ukraine. She's the one that designed this for me, and I use her for all of my marketing pieces.
Well, and I will tell you, over the past week, the new engineer that I'm trying out is from Fiverr, and he's like in Bosnia. And last night, he blew me away. He literally converted my file in next thing you know, I get an alert 5 minutes after uploading. It's like, hey, here it goes. I was like, I can't even do it that fast. So it's worth the $5.
No question. And you're usually paying a little bit more if you want it faster or whatever. But
yeah, nope.
$20 is fine,
Yeah.
So the lady that I use here, I've been through a number of Design Crowd, but I'll send you her name because she's really, really very, very good.
Nice.
And I've seen a lot of designers, but she's one that, she'll do a marketing piece for me, and I'll pay her like $40 for like a one-page just design. Or she did a booklet for me for $280, a whole listing packet booklet that I'm going to pick up right after this.
Nice.
And $280 for the whole booklet. I mean, if you go to any designer, you're going to pay $1,000 at least.
Hey, I'm all about shopping local and supporting the U.S. businesses. But when you're a small, up at the start, entrepreneur, man, hey, they're willing to work harder because our dollar's worth more in their country. So
right.
I'm okay with that.
I know.
If you got talent.
Yeah, man. Well, she's good. She's very good. So,
all right.
Well, enjoy it.
Hey, great day today. This is going to be fun, and absolutely, I'm looking forward to helping you build some other stuff, whatever you got going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking, like you said, I'm looking at, I don't push Isagenix on anybody.
Nope.
I'm very, and the problem is I truly want to be the sample. Like my wife she's ultra fit.
We can't always be the product of the product. As long as, here's the thing, you're going to connect to other people who also struggle. So you're real. It's like you're showing reality. That's why, we can't all be CrossFit Games athletes. That's not reality. That's a very committed lifestyle, and they're sacrificing many other things. You got a real estate business. You got a family. Dude,
I mean, I don't look unfit, but it's I'm not the, I'm certainly not Froning out there, with my 6-pack abs. Now, Juice has his 6-pack, and he's fit and tatted and the whole bit. And you know, ultimately, I'd like to be lean though. I'd like to be more lean, and you know, I want to be healthy is what I want to be, which is why we're
Hey
talking.
man, I'm 6'4", and I fluctuate between 190 and 195, and it's been that way for years. So
well, I'm 6 foot and shrinking, and hopefully this knee surgery will be. It apparently does increase your height.
there you go.
I've heard. I'm really excited about that, but you know, so I might be getting I need both done, but my right knee is a lot worse than my left. And,
Well, one last takeaway, because I do have to leave for this doctor's appointment, but really, really, really research this healthier fats versus sugars diet. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but with your daughter and the heart stuff, this has been proven. People need to stop cutting healthy cholesterol and healthy fats from their diet. Heart doctors who say that are misinformed.
Yep.
The cholesterol and the healthy fat needs to be in our system because that's literally lubricating the blood vessels.
Yeah.
If you do not consume enough healthy cholesterol, the body naturally will create its own cholesterol because it needs cholesterol for cellular health. It's the connectivity between the cells. There's tons of studies on this. Dr. Sylvia will talk about it in her book, and also Vinny and all his experts. But I'm telling you, people who cut healthy fats out of their diet are probably going to have heart problems because you don't have anything in there to help lubricate and keep things passing through the system.
Yeah.
And that's what heart doctors, little by little, are starting to pull their heads out of their asses and realize is that it's the sugar, not the fat. Get the healthy fats back in.
My daughter eats plenty of the fat, but she loves the sugar. And so, you know,
and that's part of the problem.
We've cut her down to 1 soda per week because she loves root beer. And we're like, I know, and it's
maybe convert her over to like a birch beer or something, and something that's like made fresh, like do a soda stream or something. I don't know.
The healthy sources that don't have the dyes in them, but so we're slowly converting. And the problem, I keep telling my wife, you know, I mean, what's the difference between sugar and cocaine? I mean, really. And
there's plenty of studies on that too. It's just as addicting to the brain.
It is. So I appreciate it. Yeah, I love the fats, and I know how important the fats are. So
it's a better energy.
What's that?
It's a better energy. The whole NSNG piece, also, once you take it to the next level, we talk about this keto, ketogenic lifestyle. That's Vinny's episode that's on my show. We talk about keto, ketogenic lifestyle, NSNG, because you have to reprogram your body to start burning fat as a fuel more efficiently. So it'll literally be a high-performing machine off of the fat you're ingesting and also the fat that's remaining in your body. So let's do this.
The full cycle thing. Great. Hey, man, appreciate your time. Let's talk soon, and I'll be responding to you. Just let me know when the podcast is out, and I'll reshare it.
You got it. You get those images to me, and any essential links that you'd like to have in the show notes, just email it over, and like I said, I'll be working on it this week for this Friday.
Awesome.
All right, brother.
Thanks, Scott.
Take it easy.
10-4. See you. Bye.